For lesson 4.3, we're going to be looking at two-step inequalities, and we're going to start with the same vocabulary as last time because this one is so important that we remember to do this. So again, with negatives, if we multiply or divide by a negative, we're going to flip the sign. So then the less than becomes greater than becomes less than, and so on. All right. First set of examples. Determine if the given value is in the solution set. That means, is it an answer? So that might be something you want to make a note of. Solution set means answer. Is it an answer? So is 5 a solution to this? So I'm going to plug in, remember when 2 is next to x, it means 2 times x. But we're going to plug in 5 for x. So really I have 2 times 5 plus 3. And is that greater than 13? 2 times 5 will get 10 plus 3. Is that greater than 13? 10 plus 3 is 13. So 13 greater than 13. Well, 13 is equal to 13. So if this had had that equal to sign underneath it, then it would have been okay. But 13 is not greater than 13. So this would be a no. That would not be a solution then. We're going to check 12. So 3 times 12. I'm going to use parentheses this time just so we see them. So just like I had 2 times 5 up here, the parentheses just are another way of saying times. So this really just means 3 times 12 minus 9 is less than or equal to 30. 3 times 12, so that's 12, 24 is 36. Minus 9, is that less than or equal to 30? It'd be 27. And is 27 less than or equal to 30? Yes, it is. So yes, it will be a solution. Okay, now we're going to get into actually solving some of these problems. So again, our goal is to isolate the variable. So I'm going to get that x by itself. Right now it's attached to or being multiplied by the 7. So before I'm going to take care of the 7, I want to get rid of that minus 30. The opposite of minus 30 is a plus 30. Remember, our goal is to make these equal 0 to move it over to the other side. And a minus 30 and plus 30, that makes 0, so I know I did the right sign, plus 30. That leaves me with a 7x. I'm going to bring down that less than. I've not multiplied or divided by a negative, so it's going to stay the same. And then 19 plus 30 is 49. Now I can get rid of this 7, so I can detach it. So it's multiplying when they're next to each other like this. It means times. The opposite is to divide. And then 7 over 7 is 1, so we say that cancels. It comes 1x, which is just x, is less than 49 divided by 7 is 7. And again, I divided, but I did not divide by a negative, so the sign stays. And then we're just going to go ahead and put 7 somewhere in the middle. We don't always have to fill in all the number line. In fact, on one of your practice problems on Get More Math, you'll just type in the number in the middle, and you won't need to fill in the rest of it. So I want an open circle because it does not have the equal to part. And I want it shaded values that are less than, so towards the left are the numbers that will be less than 7. Number 4, it might help this minus 6 if I change to adding the opposite, so I can see that I've got a negative 6 there. But before I can deal with this negative 6x, I have to first get rid of this constant, this negative 4. To make this 0, the opposite of minus 4 is plus 4. So yes, there is a plus sign here now, but I'm trying to make these 0. Negative 4 plus 4, that's 0. And add 4 on the other side also to keep that balance. So I've got a negative 6x left on that side still, less than or equal to 20. Now I can take care of this and get rid of that negative 6 from my x. Opposite of multiplying is to divide by negative 6. But then there's my rule. I divided by a negative, which means that sign has to get flipped around. So then x is, instead of less than, it's going to be greater than or equal to. And then 20 over 6. Well, that doesn't divide evenly. You can turn it into a decimal and just put in your calculator 20 divided by -6. I'm going to choose to leave it as a fraction, but I'm going to reduce it. So I can leave it as -20 over 6, but I'm going to choose to reduce it. I can divide these both by 2. So -20 divided by 2 is -10. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So really I have x is greater than or equal to -10 thirds. So I'm going to put -10 thirds in the middle. I'm going to have a filled in circle because it had the equal to part, and I want values that are greater than that. And greater than numbers are to the right. To the right, numbers get bigger. Number 5. I'm going to first add 23 to both sides. That makes 0. So I've got an 8x is greater than, let's see, that's going to give me 40. Then I can divide both sides by 8. So my x is greater than 5. Again, I divided, but I did not divide by a negative, so the sign can stay. My 5 in the middle. I need an open circle because it does not have the equal to part. And I want values that are greater than the 5. So that's going to go this direction. Number 6. Like we had above, I'm going to choose to change this into adding the opposite there. Before I get rid of the -4, I'm going to first get rid of the 7. Opposite of -7 is +7 to make this 0. So +7 on the other side also. Keep this equation balanced, or this inequality balanced. -4x is less than or equal to, that gives me 20. Then I can divide both sides by a -4. And then there's my rule again. I divided by a negative, so because I divided by a negative, I've got to flip that sign around. So it's going to become x is, instead of a less than, it's going to become greater than or equal to. And then 20 divided by -4 is -5. So I'm going to put -5 in the middle. I want it filled in circle because it could be equal to, it says. And I want values that are greater than now. Greater than -5 would be to the right. Number 7. This one looks a little bit different because it's got that giant fraction bar. Again, the fraction bar just means divide. So this really says all this stuff divided by 2. Well, since that's the part that's making it more confusing, let's go ahead and take care of that first. The opposite of dividing by 2 is to multiply by 2. And when I do inverse operations, they're going to cancel out because it's going to turn into 1. So it's going to cancel out. So that leaves me just with the 12 plus 4x. The 2's are gone. Is greater than, 16 times 2 will be 32. Now it looks more normal. I can continue solving this. I'm going to do -12 on both sides. I get 4x is greater than 20. And then I can divide both sides by 4. So x is greater than 20 divided by 4 would be 5. I'm going to put 5 on my number line. I need an open circle because it does not have the equal to part, and I want values that are greater than 5. Okay, one last problem like this. We're going to do -20 on both sides. We can make this 0. So -2x is greater than or equal to 11 minus 20 would be -9. Now I'm going to divide by -2 on both sides. And there's my rule. I divided by a negative. So then x is, we're going to switch the sign. It's going to change to less than or equal to. And then I can leave it as a fraction. Since I left the other one as a fraction, let's go ahead and turn this one into a decimal. -9 divided by -2 would be +4.5. So I'm going to put 4.5 in the middle. I want a filled in circle because it has the equal to part. I want values that are now less than that. So I'm going to shade to the left for the values that are less than. And any notes you want to make off to the side to remind yourself, go ahead and do so.